Our Lord says in the Gospel, "Behold, I am sending you like sheep in the midst of wolves, so be shrewd as serpents and simple as doves." This is our Lord's instructions or counsel in regard to persecution. Our life is a life of persecution. It's not a cakewalk. It's not a picnic, this life that we are in, but it's more like a battleground, more like a jungle. We have enemies all around us on every side, and we have to be clever, not just fight, but be clever, do things wisely. We have to outsmart our enemies sometimes. We have to know our enemy and what they do, what Satan does, and what his followers do here in this world. Others, our Lord says, "But beware of men, for they will hand you over to courts and scourge you," etc. So there will be followers of Satan, men, who will try to trick us and drag us into evil sometimes. But if it's not them, it's Satan and our own weaknesses. We have to be on our toes. We have to be careful. We have to be shrewd. We have to sort of have a holy paranoia. We have to be careful of everything around us. And that's our fight. That's our challenge throughout our whole life. We always have to be careful of others, but also careful of our own weaknesses. And we have to be clever in the sense of being on the opposition. We have to be thinking ahead of time, thinking of our weaknesses, because Satan will always come after our weakest link. And we have to counteract it by offensive measures. We have to pray more, take precautions, avoid dangers, avoid things, and also count on the help that God is going to give to us, because he says in this gospel too that it will not be us who will speak, but the Spirit of your Father speaking in you when we are hailed into the courts or in difficult situations. God will speak through us if we are docile to him and we trust in him in the midst of this conflict that we are in, this battle, this difficulty and this challenge of life. We have to see it as a challenge. We have to see the dangers. If not, we get caught up in them and pulled down by them and by others. Instead, let us always be on the offense, always on our toes, always looking for dangers, but also always advancing up the mountain of the holy mountain of God, up higher in sanctity by our efforts, by our prayers and trust in God, and by our clever thinking and wisdom that God will give us on how to be holy in the midst of challenges. So we entrust our life, which is full of dangers, to Our Lady, who will bring us through them all unscathed and in holiness, if we always are beside her, always holding her hand, always turning to her in every danger and difficulty and confusion, and always advancing up the mountain of God in that security that Our Lady gives us in the sacraments and in our prayers. God will always be with us if we cling to him and we are with him and strive not to offend him, strive to always obey his laws and be innocent as doves, but clever as well, using our mind and using the weapons and the counsel and the wisdom that Jesus gives us in his gospel and in imitation of his life, the way he lived and the way the saints did in imitation of him.
Fructum ventris tuum, Deorum.